Hello and welcome back to another video in the web dev series. We are talking about object-oriented programming, and in this video we're going to tackle the subject of inheritance. So what is inheritance? Well, inheritance is a lot like it sounds like, just in the human sense. I think object-oriented programming did a good job at taking human concepts and transferring them over to programming. But let's talk about a little bit about why you would use inheritance. So there's this thought process that you want your code to be as dry as possible. And by dry, I mean that as an acronym, DRY, for do not repeat yourself. And so you don't want to have copied and pasted code everywhere. You want to have each bit of code only used one time. And so what you can do, let's think about this. We may end up in a situation where we want to create a class and create objects from that class. And then we want to create another class that's very similar to the other one, but just a little bit different. So without inheritance, what we'd have to do is we would have to create a class. We'd have to create the other class that's very similar, and we'd have to have a lot of the same code, the same properties, the same methods, and things like that within the two classes. And that then what happens is, if you decide you needed to change it, you'd have to change it in both places. Or if there were a bug with it, you'd have to fix it in both places. And so that is not the ideal way to program. So we want to, again, keep our code as dry as possible. So inheritance allows us to do that very well. And so let me go and show you. Let's go ahead and switch over to screen. Make sure you have your server up and running. And we've been working here in this index.php. What I'm going to do is keep my NL function here at the top, but I'm just going to go ahead and clean up. Let's go ahead and remove all of this code here. And what we're going to do is let's create a new class, and we're going to call this class building. And this building class is going to have, all buildings are going to have some properties, and we'll call this length, okay, and we'll call this width. So all buildings will have this, and these need dollar signs, of course. And so all of our buildings have a length and a height, and then we'll also have a color. Okay, then we'll also have an address that they're built at. Okay, so these are all buildings, but there's all kinds of different types of buildings. So let's say I'm a contractor and I build houses and I build factories and I build garages and sheds. Those are all buildings that have links with colors and addresses, but they have other things with them that are not necessarily shared with the other buildings. So rather than creating another class that would be just like this, what we can do is use this building class as what we would call a parent class. Okay, so this parent class, we can extend this with children or child classes that will have all the same stuff that this has. So let's go ahead and let's create a public function, and let's add our square foot back in. And what this is going to do is return this width times this height, or I'm sorry, length. I do that every time. So this width times this length times this width is the square foot. Okay, so all buildings will have this. They'll have a square foot, a length, width, color, and address. Okay, now the thing is that I don't want to copy all of this code and create another class. So what I can do is create a child class, and the way that we do that is we still start off the class, and let's call this house. Now, house is a type of building, or it's going to be a child of building. So we're going to use the keyword extends, and then we're going to say building. Okay, now this is how you create a child class. Now, inheritance. What is inheritance? Well, for the most part, until we talk more about visibility, you can think of an inheritance as this class house, since it extends building, it already has these properties and this function here that's not that is already available to it just because it extends that building class. Okay, but we can also give this we can give it additional properties. So let's say what else does a house have that may be different than a building? Well, let's say the house might have a porch, right? So let's just do has porch, and that will be defaulted to true. We're going to have a porch on most of our houses. And it's also could have another property called has chimney. Okay, so this could also be set to true as well. Okay, so now this house, and let's give it another function here. So our method rather. Let's create a method called public function. I'm trying to think of what I want to call this. Let's call this lock doors, or sure, public function lock doors. And this is going to do something. Let's create a locked. Let's create a property here. For now, we'll just make it public. Public, and we'll say locked is going to be equal to true by default. And locked doors is just going to take this locked and set it equal to locked. Okay, it's a weird example, but now this house, any object I build from this, is going to have these properties and this method like normal, but it's also going to have these properties and this function as well. So it allows us to extend, and you can have as many children as you want. So for example, I can also create another one, and we'll call this one class factories, our factory, and this is also going to extend our building. Now this one might have a property called doc, okay, and it might have another one called I don't know, what would a factory have? 3. Well, we can't do that, so we could say oh, never mind. We'll just add public doc. Okay, so this class now, it doesn't have the locked doors or these properties because it doesn't extend this house, but it does extend buildings. So it has length, width, color, address, and the square foot method, but it also will have this public doc. So let's go ahead and just demonstrate this a little bit, and let's just create one of each of these. So I'm just going to call this building is equal to new building. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to var dump building. Okay, and then what we'll do is we're going to say house is equal to new house, and we'll var dump the house, and then we'll say factory is equal to new factory, and we'll also var dump that factory. Alright, so let's go back to our page and refresh now. And wow, this is going to be a little hard, so let's, after these var dumps, let's just go ahead and use our new line, function here. And let's refresh. And now on each on these, you can see we have an object here. So it tells us that it's an object, and it is a building. So this is the name of the class that it was built from. And you can see that it has a length, width, color, and address. And then the house has a property called has porch, has chimney, locked, and then it has a length, width, color, and address. Now our factory, it has doc, length, width, color, and address. And so because these share code from this, it allows me to keep just the code that's going to be in everything in the parent class here, and we can just extend those to get that code, and that will exist here. So then if I needed to change, say the square foot function was incorrect, or I made a mistake originally, I could just update it in this one spot, and everything that uses that would be fine. It would just fix it. That's what I think is one of the most beautiful things about object-oriented programming. So again, if you like what we're doing here, please comment, like, subscribe. Leave me a comment with any sort of aha moments or anything that you've learned that you're excited about in this series so far, and that will give me a lot of motivation. The other thing you can do, if you have a few extra bucks and you want to buy some merchandise, I'm excited that we have merchandise now. I should be wearing it soon because I did order my own stuff. Shameless plug, but hey, I don't buy many clothes, so, and in fact right now I'm wearing my my son has a YouTube video channel where he talks about fireworks and stuff, and this is his merch. So anyway, that is Pyro Fantastic. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later.